What up everyone, it's your boy Xmanny87 here, bringing you another Marvel Legends video, and what I have for you today is my first review of 2021, and we're starting things off huge with the Marvel Legends Deluxe Infinity Gauntlet Thanos the Mad Titan action figure review. Before we get into everything, if you could please leave a thumbs up like rating on the video, it'll help show your support for my channel and I greatly appreciate it. Now with that said, let's get it! So finally, a classic Thanos for the first time in the Legends line is something to be extremely excited about. I mean, that alone should get anyone stoked for this figure. I'm just surprised it took this long, but since this year is a villain heavy year, pretty much the year of the villains, we're going to see a lot of the villains that we've always wanted in the Legends line, so great way to kick off the year with the big bad himself. Now before I show you a close look at everything from head to toe with this figure, I want to point out the bodywork of this figure. It is beautiful, as you can see. Is it proportionate to the character? Yes, I think so. I think it's perfectly proportionate to the character's likeness in the comics. The girth on the torso looks good, the arms look good, the thighs are bulky. Even when you look at the side right here, you know, the feet. If I pull up an image of George Perez's art style of Thanos in the Infinity Gauntlet, you can see his, well, the feet are kind of weird, but you know, with that art style. But this is probably the best you're gonna get out of that. This looks more realistic, if anything. Then you can see the back of the figure here, very massive. So there's some good things and some gripes that I have. We'll get all into it. So let's take a close look at Thanos. Now taking a close look at the head sculpt, this is nice. This is really, really nice. Really like the paint on the eyes. That blue that they use, that two tones of blue, looks very menacing. And you got the purple skin that has this really nice wash. So you can see all the details on that. That looks so good. The nose is like extra tiny. I really like how it came out. I mean, again, the likeness of the character here, they nailed it. Like the way the mouth came out, that is pretty freaking cool. It looks like he's about to, like, I don't know what is this kind of expression. It's like he's about to laugh and be angry at the same time. It's kind of weird. And the teeth are painted pretty clean on mine, so no gripes there. But the eyes here, man, the eyes got me here. And I really like the eyeshadow around it. That's pretty freaking cool. And look at the gold painted on here. So as you can see, the crown of Thanos, shall we call it. So he has this really nice gold design, or gold paint with this design. Looks really good. And you got the gold trimming right there. You know, nice blue paint all throughout. You're gonna see this nice blue plastic paint on it. And you got the I don't know what you call these, cosmic wireless earbuds, I guess. I don't know, whatever you want to call it, but nice painted gold. And then you got the top of the head. The trimming goes back here, so very nice. Then you got the tongue inside there. That's a different shade of purple. I didn't notice that before. And then you get this grimace nutsack of a chin. So again, nicely sculpted, man. They nailed it here. Then looking at the rest of the body, looking at this armored collar, shoulder pads, whatever you want to call this. It's on a gold plastic. It's not like the last one where it would come off, so you don't have to worry about that. It's actually glued on, as you can see. There's pieces right here on the front, on the back, where it's glued on. You don't have to worry about any of that annoying up and down shifting. However, it's on the gold plastic, so you're gonna get these swirls and stuff. And you know what? Honestly, it's not even that bad with the swirls. It's just more present right here at the front. That's what's really annoying me. So if this was on the back, I wouldn't even care. But then you look at the gold painted here, right? On these, you know, in between the armpits here, and then on the torso, and then looking at how it's painted on the crown. It's just, why didn't they paint the armor? Why? Like, you see it all throughout, and you're gonna see a lot of that gold plastic that they used. Take a close look at this nice gold metallic sheen. It's so nice. It is very nice. So they should have put this on this, and the rest of it just would have popped out so much better. So yeah, I'm not happy with that. But the torso, the sculpt, everything right here looks really, really good. And I do like this blue plastic here. I love the different shades that we're getting. Light shading and some dark shading, and you'll see that throughout, even on the chest area here. So that looks really good. Some nice highlights. Also, one thing I want to point out is that he doesn't have a butt, but butterfly joints. Well, he does have a butt, but he doesn't have butterfly joints, and I think they could have gotten away with it right here, especially with this armored piece. You know, it would have been a nice way to hide the butterfly joints, so it definitely could have been doable. Just look at the girth on this. between this right here, you know, they definitely could have gotten away with it. We could have gotten a Thanos with butterfly joints. Maybe they could have put this strap a little bit thinner, not to make this sculpt go to waste. But yeah, that's just my opinion. I think it could have been executed. Now, when we look at the arms, they look good from afar, but the functionality on these, I am not happy with. Particularly this combination of the bicep and elbow swivel. It just makes absolutely no sense. So it's pinless, nothing new here. You know, when they do these kind of arms like this, it's always pinless, so nothing to go crazy about. As you see, they did it with the Hulk, so they're pretty much gonna function the same, except this lacks range, a lot of range. So the one thing I hate the most is when there's a bicep swivel and elbow swivel. The anatomy is incorrect here, because when you twist your elbow, your bicep should go along with it. Your bicep shouldn't be here. You know, when you twist your elbow, your bicep goes along with it. So it just makes no sense. It's just encouraging bad posers. And I know there's a lot of you that care about sculpt more than articulation, but I care about a combination of both. I care about sculpt and articulation. I want the perfect mesh. You know, when you see this bulk of the arm here, you've seen Venom pull how big that arm was, and he has so much more range. Look at the range on this elbow. It's sad, you know? That's not cool. You look at the Endgame Hulk or the, you know, Gamerverse Hulk, they share the same body. Look at that. Same bulk of the bicep, tricep, and they were able to give him double jointed elbows. So it's just like there shouldn't have been an excuse here. So again, I care about articulation and sculpt the same, not one over the other. I am a toy photographer, so I need them to look good and look natural. And here's a look at the gloves, you know, on that gold plastic, and it looks good with the wrinkles there. Again, would have been so much better with the metallic gold paint job. The hands look good though. You know, it got that nice sculpt, the knuckles. Yeah, so that looks pretty cool. Then looking at his belt slash mini skirt. No, I'm just joking, but he's got this nice design to it. Got the nice blue paint. And the great thing about this is that it actually stays on here. It doesn't shift up and down. And if you can see closely, let me just zoom this in a bit. You can see that is glued on here. So that is pretty cool. Here's a little bit of wiggle, but not that bad. You know, comparing it to the other Thanos, you know, this one shift up and down, so nothing really there to keep it steady. You got the golden armored underwear underneath. Got some line sculpted there. And then the legs, man, look at these gams. These gams look great. They look freaking great. And one thing I love about these legs is that they are pinless, so this looks super smooth. And as you can see, there are some highlights on the thighs right there, even on the knees, slightly on the knees. And the one thing that bothers me here is that when you look at the back of the legs, they are very glossy. The rest of the blue on the body is on a matte finish. So yeah, it looks like this guy's been just sitting down on his throne too long and the sweat's just dripping down from his ass to his legs. So yeah, so I'm confused why the back would be so glossy. But yeah, I hope you guys don't think I'm being nitpicky here. I mean, it's noticeable. If it's noticeable, I am gonna call it out. So the legs, on the other hand, like the front, it looks good. The pinless legs really look good. And just let me just show you guys the range on these knees and how it looks pinless with that bend. Looks good. So good. Then you got the gold boots. Again, not painted, just that gold plastic. I do like the wrinkles on the sculpt. Nicely sculpted there. So got the peg holes, tiny peg holes at the feet. 2021. So again, this is all new mold from scratch. So I appreciate that. Now, one cool thing is that out of the box, he comes with this diorama backdrop, and it's his throne. And I think this looks pretty freaking cool. And why I'm showing this, well, one, you might want to display it, and two, I want to show you how he sits compared to the old Thanos. Now, the old Thanos, you couldn't really get him on a seated pose. It just looked unnatural, and I had to hide ways how to make it look natural through my photography. So is the new one better with how you can get him seated? Well, you be the judge of that, and I'll let you know my opinion. I mean, slightly better. You can see this one is a little more naturally hunched over. And looking at it on the front, you can get his legs spreaded a little more with the new one. Just to put this aside and show you that my wife made this custom MCU Thanos throne for me a few years back, and You know, his butt does not plant on the seat. As you can see, it doesn't look naturally. So, you know, in photography, I had to use my angles to make it look natural. But the new one looks better on it. I'll show you that. This is how this one looks. So it still can't get his butt planted. And if you're wondering, why didn't he come with a throne? Well, probably this is why. They couldn't get him to sit properly. It's kind of sad because I would love a comic-based Thanos throne where he could sit nice and flush on it. I even used the Supreme Leader Snoke throne from the Black series, and yeah, with this old Thanos, not happening. With this new one, I think you could get away with it. Again, you just gotta play with your angles, and just to show you, you know, from like that angle's good. You can't really tell his butt is not planted, and then on the side, just to show you how it looks. It looks awkward. Definitely don't take a shot like this. So yeah, frontward shot with low angle and play with my lighting, you know, it won't look as bad or noticeable. Now to cover accessories, for an alternate head, he comes with the King Thanos head. We get another nice face sculpt here, you know, I'm not gonna lie, it's a really nice sculpt. You have this nice grin, so that looks cool. The Grimace Nutsack chin is covered by this gray beard, and you know, he's got it tied right there in two places. So it looks really cool, and then he's got this nice crown, and that looks dope, you know, but again, it's on that gold plastic. It has to go with everything else, you know. But however, this head does not go with this body, and it was not part of the Infinity Gauntlet storyline at all, this look. This was part of the Thanos Wins story arc with Cosmic Ghost Rider, I believe it was called the Thanos Wins. And I remember Dwight Stahl mentioning that you can put this head on the last Thanos body that we got, so we'll do that. So here it is, and it looks good for the most part, but it doesn't belong to this body. In fact, the King Thanos had a different attire altogether. So this head does not go with either of these bodies. So to me, this head sculpt kind of went to waste, being that there is not a King Thanos figure. Of course, if they release one later on, I'm sure that won't have the crown head, so we could put this head on that one. That's what I'm thinking. But again, for now, it went to waste, especially being packed as the Infinity Gauntlet. We should have gotten an extra head, an extra classic Thanos head to go and keep it all Infinity Gauntlet, because this figure could have used an extra classic Thanos head or two. So he comes with two close-fisted hands, as I showed you before, and the rest of the hands are only interchangeable with the left hand. And just to show you, the wrist peg is short and stubby, so you can't swap it out with the older Thanos figure hands. So first up, he has this stylized open hand that kind of says, "Half the world is mine" kind of hand. So it looks pretty cool, like the Infinity Stones colored on it. You know, you got all colors there, red, yellow, green, blue, purple, and orange. And comparing it to the last Infinity Gauntlet hand that we got from the last Thanos, I feel like it's the same scope, just bigger. I mean, look at the side right there. This one just looks bigger to me, and it's like the same, so you must have upscaled it a bit. But yeah, the fingertips, everything you look at, you can even tell the stones are even bigger on this one, so interesting. And then let's snap them. And then we get the iconic snapping finger hand. This is so sick. I really, really love the way this came out. Anytime you could capture a character's expression or action of what they did in the comics, that's the one thing that always gets me and makes me look forward to a lot of photography fun. Love this, man. I dig it. Definitely my favorite accessory out of the pack. And since this Thanos is a completely new sculpt from scratch compared to the last Thanos, I know you guys want to see the comparisons and articulation, so this will be a sort of articulation comparison segment. I'll just have this Thanos on standby. So the head looks up that far, which is pretty decent. I mean, comparing it to the last one, it is about the same. This one's on a ball joint, this one's on a hinge, so sadly, he cannot look down. This one, you can get him to look down, so that was the plus on this one. However, the ball joint does give him a nice pivot, and it makes it rock around really nice. No pivot on this one, just the swivel. This one obviously can swivel. With the arms, this one moves a decent amount up, I'd say. What do you think about that? I think it's pretty good. This one, you move it up. Well, this had the issue of the arms. They always kept popping off. So this one is, again, slightly better, not by much. However, with the arms on this one, when you move them down, you can move them all around with ease. You don't have to worry about this collar piece popping off. As you can see with this one, you already see that collar piece. You move it up, and you get that annoying crap that happens all the time. The shoulder does swivel, you got the bicep that swivels, elbow that swivels, and you have the single jointed elbow. So both are very lackluster when it comes to the elbow joint. Then you got the wrist swivel, traditional wrist hinge. The ab crunch is so much better on this one, as you see a nice bend right there, nothing wobbly, it stays sturdy, so that's really nice with this one. Ab crunch, and he just has this wiggle to it. His freaking bobble torso, it was very unpleasant. He moves back a good amount, really smooth, again, nothing wobbly. With this one just has a better back range to it, as you can see. You get a nice waist swivel, which you have enough space in the belt right here to give it that room, so no issues there. The legs, big thing about these legs is that they spread pretty far apart, and that's so much better than this one. I mean, it was pretty much non-existent. Even if I lift this belt piece, look at that. That's just not even there. It's, man, this is trash. With this one, like, look at the new one. Yeah, so much better. And he kicks up that far. You could kick it a little outward. This might hinder it a bit when you're trying to kick it outward. Yeah, it's about the same, I'd say. The legs rock around nicely. You got a nice thigh swivel, double jointed knees, and even though there's no heel to the butt, the knee articulation, the range is so much better. A lot more bend you get on this one. Unfortunately, no calf swivel here. The older one did have a calf swivel, so it would have been nice to see that here. And the ankles move up that far, down that low, and he has that all-around ankle rocker. Now for some comparisons, here is our new classic Thanos next to the Walmart exclusive Thanos, and next to another one with the King Thanos head on. These guys are pretty much at the same height, which is between 7.5 to 8 inches. The crown on King Thanos makes him look taller. Speaking of King Thanos, here he is next to Cosmic Ghost Rider. Here is our classic Thanos next to the Marvel Selects Death. Here he is next to Silver Surfer. And I have to compare my favorite Avengers villain next to my other two favorites, which is Kang the Conqueror and the Marvel Selects Ultron. Can't wait to get the new Marvel Legends Ultron to complete my favorite Avengers villains trio. Here he is next to the MCU clean and damaged Thanos. Here he is next to the MCU armored Thanos Bath. Here he is next to some other Marvel heroes he faced off in the comics before, Spider-Man and The Thing. Here he is next to Gamora and the rest of the Guardians of the Galaxy. Couldn't find my Legends group, but here is the Selects version. And finally, here he is next to some of our classic Avengers. Now for my on the shelf segment, here is the new classic Thanos on my cosmic display, about to snap half of my collection away. This looks amazing with him sitting on the throne and having Death stand in front of him. I'm in love with how he looks on my display. Then many of you asked me what chair did I use for Kang in my top 10 video, and even though I mentioned it in the video already, it's the DCUC signature Mobius chair that came with Metron. So I'm using that for his time chair. Now my cosmic display is fully updated. Alright, and now to wrap things up, before I reach my final verdict, I just want to say I do love this figure despite some gripes I have with it. Bring me Thanos! And yes, Hasbro finally brought us a well-deserved classic Thanos. I don't like comparing Legends and Selects as they are completely two different lines and completely two different scales, but I know some of you will ask me, is this better than the Marvel Selects classic Thanos? Yes, rest assured it is. You can now toss your Marvel Selects Classic Thanos out of your Legends display, as this is the perfect scale for your Legends. Not only scale, but the articulation, proportions, and sculpt. Paint-wise, I think Selects was a little bit better because they stuck true to the light blue color of how he appeared in the Infinity Gauntlet comic, which I prefer, but this one still has a nice blue with some light shading deco. Plus the head sculpt on this new Legends makes the Selects one look a little too cartoony. Love the wash they put on this face sculpt, which is probably one of their best to date. I think you will have a lot of fun with this figure. They could have taken advantage on some areas of the sculpt to add more articulation, but my biggest gripe of all was the lack of elbow range and the incorrect anatomy of having individual bicep and elbow swivel. Should be one or the other. Good accessory selection, but wish he had an extra classic head over the King Thanos. And oh, a closed-fisted hand for the Infinity Gauntlet would have been nice too. The snapping hand is the winner in that category for sure. Also wish the metallic painted gold didn't go to waste and was the primary shader over the plastic gold. However, he still ended up being very photogenic, and I had tons of fun taking pictures of him to set up a cosmic environment and playing with some darker tones of lighting to really make those colors pop. I'm still going high with a final rating of 9 out of 10. Overall, a solid figure and one of the better villain offerings for Legends. So now I kick it back to you guys. What do you guys think about this new Deluxe Thanos? Do you think we're going to get a death figure this year as she is present on the back of the box art? If that teaser is any indication of her debut in the Legends line, then it'll be very interesting to see how she'll be packed in. Maybe a multi-pack with Nebula, Star Fox, and Mephisto? Let the speculations begin. Comment below, let me know, we'll chat about it. That was my review. Please follow me on Instagram if you haven't already. Link is in the description below. Get your Marvel Legends Deluxe Thanos at Big Bad Toy Store. Link is in the description below. Hit the notification bell so you always know when my latest videos are up. Share and subscribe if you're new. Enjoy the pics at the end of the video. See you on the next review. Peace, peace.